This is Andy Nathan. I am with Creative Smart Contractors. I want to wish everyone, first of all, a Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. I was going through some of my videos from earlier this week. My kids are still asleep, so hopefully I'll get through this. I already got interrupted once. My kids are still asleep. My wife is at work. So I thought, let's try and see if we can set up a video. This has been an ordeal. We're going to get it fixed by thinking about things we learning about stuff now. Um, so I did a video earlier this week on contract 2025 contractor lessons that I've learned, and I'll connect it to this video here today. Point being is that I learned a lot, and so brief background on who I am. My name's Andy Nathan. I'm with Creative Smart Contractors, and we started the company in 2023. We've been investing in rehabbing in property since 2019 together, my partner, and I had invested before even in some properties as well. Thank you everyone who's joining us here today, seeing the likes coming in, so I appreciate that. Definitely wanted to just discuss with everyone more about. I'm glad people could hear me. Thank you. Sorry about the audio issues. So just going back, wanted to talk to you about some of the lessons that I learned in 2025. So I'm just going to dive straight into it and go into some of the things I've learned so I can be better in 2026. Hopefully, this will also help you when you're working on some of your construction projects as well. Um, Now, one of the things that first thing I learned this year in 2025, clarity and scope of communication. So, had a project. We do a number of projects with lenders, so FHA, VA, NACA, other programs as well, and had a program that we were working with where the lender sent us the inspection report and they said we need 24 shingles replaced on the roof. Sent it over to the roofer. He says okay, and we said okay, we could fix that. It's 24 shingles and that's not that big of a deal. And he said to me, he says, "Are you sure they don't want the entire roof?" I said, "No, it says 24 shingles. That's what it says, and that price there wouldn't really be useful for an entire roof." He said, "True." So we went about going about trying to help the project, and uh, turned out that they meant 24 square of shingles. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are roofers who are on this conversation today, but 24 square shingles for a roofer, general contractor like I am, means that you're talking about 2,400 square feet of roof. That's a big deal. So between 24 shingles, which is probably about 10 square feet of roof, or 2,400 square sheet, 2,400 is or square feet. That's a big difference, and that's exactly what we were seeing there today. And the reason I'm bringing this up to you today is because we ended up discovering, oh, wait, we're having some issues here with this project because they told us one thing and then they really needed another. So we had to go back to the lender and say, look, we need more money if you want us to do 2,400 square of roof. Now, fortunately, the client had canceled a few other items off of their list because they were able to get some of it done by themselves and they were able to just knock it off. So they said, yeah, you can use this part of the budget. Cool. I said, great. And in the meantime, we also did fix the flat roof while we were waiting to get these changes. Can you pay us for that roof? Because there were actually 3 roofs for this project. And so, by the way, I see people are coming in saying hi. I'm saying hi right now. Sorry if I'm not interrupting every 5 seconds for hi. But essentially, what was happening is that we were discovering that when we were working on the project, that there's 2,400 square feet of roof. One of the square of roof was actually a flat roof, so we finished that off real quick, and we said, "Hey, can you pay us for that amount?" And they said, "No, you didn't do any work on the roof." We said, "No, we finished this roof, not that roof." And the lender's like, "No, no, no, we insist you have to do the entire roof." And they were like, "No, no, no, we finished one roof. We want to be paid for that roof because a lot of these programs pay you in arrears." And what this is really talking about is scope clarity. Went back and forth with the lender on this. Finally, everyone got on a call. We looked at the inspection report, looked at the photos, and she said, "Oh, I never really looked at the photos." This is what the lender told me. "I never really looked at the photos of the roof." And it turns out that we were right. We should have been paid. But, this is part of the thing. Like, if I just thought to send a picture of the roof and just break it down, like I had broken it down to my business partner when I was explaining it, I would have been able to probably get that payment faster, and we probably would have been able to start quicker as well because we ran into a lot of delays because we had to keep going back and forth with the lender. So that was one of the big things that was going on here is that it's just project scope and communication, understanding exactly what someone wants because we're the expert. We should know what they want, but sometimes we have to go back and forth to fully communicate and understand exactly what they want. Even when it's done by a lender, that doesn't always mean that they have described everything correctly. It's our job to kind of go in there and make sure we understand that. So definitely learned a lot from that project. Second project I want to talk about. This one goes into having the right people around you. And I'm talking about clients and subcontractors. Got into a project that we got a referral from Google, which is always awesome. Woohoo! I'll take more of those. By the way, quick brief before I go into this project. My name is Andy Nathan. I'm with Creative Smart Contractors. We're talking today about lessons from 2025 and what we can do better for 2026. I did a video about this a week ago and discovered that I didn't have the volume, so I'm learning even still today. If you have the opportunity, please like this, comment, share, uh, subscribe, whatever those buttons are. Hit a lot of them, all the positive ones that go up. And I'd love to be able to find out more about how we could help you with your next upcoming project here in Chicago. That said, let's talk about the second project that we learned from. Second project we learned from was a rental turnover. And it was a project in South Shore. The first project that we were talking about before was in Jefferson Park. The second project we're talking about here today was in South Shore. It was a rental turnover, and what we discovered is that as we were working on the project, that the tenant was starting to move in, and they were living there, and they needed to be fixed things. It was a whole big mess, caused a lot of problems with the contractor because the contractor had to start moving stuff around as they were doing things, and we were not able to fully get what we needed done because of the fact that that was happening. Finally, we were able to finish the project and sent the client the final invoice, asked the subcontractor, is everything in here? He said, yes, everything's in here. Sent everything out to the client. Client paid. Then the subcontractor said, oh, I forgot to give you an invoice for the window. So what are you talking about, the window? There was no window in the project. He says, oh, yeah, the client had asked me to do something for the window. Never told me about a window. He says, I want $300 for this. I'm like, okay, let me go ask. So I went to go ask the client. Client says, well, I don't want to give him $300 because I had to pay $300 to clear out a clog that they caused in the bathroom because we fixed the bathroom as part of this project. And they apparently, when they were doing the caulking or something like that, they had left some of the caulk in there and it actually clogged up the shower. And I'm like, well, why don't you call us and let us fix that? We could have done that for you for free as part of this if we had caused it. And she's like, well, no, I already had somebody do it, so you just owe me $300 for that. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to see some photos of that so we can see proof that it was us who did it. Oh, it's you. I was assured of that. I'm like, we have no proof of this. So the client wanted $300 from me. The subcontractor wanted $300. So I started trying to talk to both of them and say, hey, let's try and see if we could work something out. And it turned out that both of them were very intransigent. And this is the problem. It's that the contractor was very set. He's like, I want my money. I'm gonna file. I'm gonna file against the city, and we're gonna get a lien on the property. So let's not go there. I don't. That's a last step. This is like a week into this, asking them for money. You don't just go straight into filing a lien against the property owner. At the same time, I went and reached out to the property owner, said, hey, can we work this out? Let's talk about this. She says, I don't know. I'm very angry at the fact that you guys want more money after you said this is the final payment. And I'm like, yeah, sorry, there was a miscommunication. That was my fault. I said, can we fix this? And she said, no. And she said, I don't like this. I don't want to pay you extra money. I said, well, can we work out something? Because this is, both of you guys are asking for 300, and this was not a gigantic deal. I wanted to see if we can maybe work something out so everyone's at least a little bit happy and we can figure it out. And she said, okay, well, I'll think about it. Well, I went back to the contractor, say, hey, is there something we can do? He said no. I was about to go back to the client. It turns out she just gave us a negative review, scathing, and you can even see this on Google, telling you about it now, so it's not like it's private, talking about how we asked her for the money for this window, and she said, then she talked about the bathroom and everything else, and haven't talked to her since. So I would love to be able to tell you everything works out rosy, but part of this was that we just didn't have the right systems in place for this because I didn't know about the change order, which is a big deal. Two, the subcontractor wasn't communicating with me properly because he didn't tell me about stuff until after I needed to know. And then three, the client was not working with us either. And that's part of the problem is that you have all these people that you want to work with, and you realize, hey, you want to get more business, but you also want to get the right people. And this is probably a lesson just for business in general, but having the right clients, having the right subcontractors makes all the difference in the world. And eventually had to let go of that subcontractor because had other problems of communication on other projects and realized this is a systemic issue that we were facing, and that's a problem. So one of the things that I learned from this is that I have to have the right people around me. And one of the things that we've done since then to fix that is we ended up starting to partner with people that we started to say, hey, these people actually really work, and we don't have to be concerned that they're not going to tell us everything. Look, things will always slip through the cracks. There's always going to be mistakes. You're never going to have a absolutely perfect, but you're going to have the level of quality is higher with the right people. And that's what we discovered. We found the right people and they started providing much higher quality work. And that has really made a significant difference in our business. And so that leads me to the third example that I'm going to talk about today. So the third lesson or third case study from 2025 that we're going to review is in regards to a project that we just finished. And this one was a bathroom remodel and had a few different moving pieces in here. And one of the things was that, we were working, trying to get everything negotiated, finally got everything negotiated. And this is a bathroom remodel in Lincoln Park. And she's like, okay, I want to get this done before Christmas. And this was the second or third of the month of December. And I'm like, okay, well, let me get back to you. So we were able to work it out because I got my team in there. They got in there on the 9th, I think it was, of December. And then there was some wallpaper work. We don't do wallpaper. We probably could get into it in 2026, but I don't have the guys to do it right now. The wallpaper guys were working on this, had to do a day or two to work on that. And then our guys came back on like the 15th, and then I think they finished by the 18th. We had one or two small mistakes in there, including the fact that somehow one of our guys took the smoke detector. Wasn't intending to do it, but the smoke detector kept going off. And instead of just putting it somewhere and putting it away, he put it in his bag because I think he had to clean it or something like that. And he thought he would come back. And we're like, what happened to the smoke detector? He's like, oh, I took it. So instead of just bringing it back, he said, I'll just buy another one because he didn't remember where he put it. And he bought a cheaper one. The client had a smoke carbon combination, which is great when it's in kitchens and stuff like that, which is where the smoke detector was placed because the bathroom was near the kitchen. And what happened was that he just bought a regular smoke detector thinking, oh, this is fine. Client's like, no, I just literally bought this $70 smoke detector a month ago. Here's my receipt for when I bought it. Like, cool. So we ended up having to refund her. She was happy with the entire project after that. She said, we talked about it, we joked about it. It was fine. But part of it was that we had the right people in place. And it wasn't like an accusation. That was the thing that I was talking about that second case. Like, it became like accusational, and I hate that. Like, there's a solution to every problem. We just have to figure it out. I don't always have that solution right away, but I know there is a solution to every problem when we're working on something. It's not always the best solution, but there's always something that we could do. And this is what we discovered with this. Having the right people in place makes all the difference, and that's the best solution. And that's really what made the difference here. So it could be something small and stupid, like a smoke detector, which is not small and stupid because it's very important. But that was not even part of the project at all. That caused some delays. And finally, like, fine, here's money for a new smoke detector. Let's get this done. Client was like, yeah, I wish I would have not had the smoke detector down for a week, which I agree with her. But other than that, she was 100% happy. So we were able to work with her and able to figure that out, and everything was fine. And by the way, she was a better client than the other client that I was talking about. And the subcontractor I was working with was a better subcontractor because of the fact that I had people I could talk to and work with. We were able to work it out. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is that the right people, the right place, the right processes, it makes a difference. And that's really what I think I've taken away from 2025 is how to have the right people in place. Sorry, I'm repeating that a few times. But the point being here is that as you go into 2026, we're getting better at this. And we're going to talk about some of the things that we can do better to help out you in the next coming week. For right now, I know it's Christmas, so I want to say a Merry Christmas to everyone who's listened in here today. I hope you got some great presents today. Hope you have some good time with family. I know after this, I'm going to be getting my kids up and getting them going for the day. but I wanted to just spend a little time just sharing through this because I had some problems with the video I created on this last week. I think this one's a little bit more clear. Could always be a little bit more clear. Another lesson for 2026, be more clear in communication. With that said, if you haven't had a chance to, if you're joining us now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment, put something in there. I'm going to just wait a few seconds. Let's scroll through comments here just to make sure if I didn't miss anything. If someone has a comment, I'd love to be able to respond to it. Ugh. Someone's talking about bed bugs, cockroaches, and fruit flies. Yeah, those are bad. I'm not an exterminator. That I would definitely call an exterminator for that. We're a general contracting company. So thank you very much for listening. This is Andy Nathan with Creative Smart Contractors. Have a great day, a better week, and a Merry Christmas.